Welcome to the season finale of the High School Football Roundup podcast. It's Thursday, November 16th, 2017. I'm your host, Walter Johnson, and you can listen to this live episode of the High School Football Roundup podcast, as well as listen to previous episodes of the shows of this podcast, live podcast, as well as the Midnight Blitz Scoreboard Show on Twitter at SWGA Network. And there will also be a season finale for the Midnight Blitz Scoreboard Show just after midnight, after the second round playoff action in the GHSA. And this Saturday, just or right into Friday, or shortly after midnight tonight. I mean, tomorrow night, so which will be early Saturday morning, November 18th. But for now, this is the High School Football Roundup podcast, and it'll be a very short season finale. Try to be finished by the top of the hour. And we're just going to get right to it. And we'll start in Class 7A in the GHSA state playoffs. And Lowndes, the number one seed in Region 1-7A champion, will host McEachern. And Lowndes ran all over Campbell 60-6 last week. And Lowndes will face McEachern at home. And McEachern advanced to the second round with a 39-7 rout over Etowah. And number 2 seed Tiffin County, coming off a 59-13 trouncing over Noonan over in Tifton last week, will travel to Powder Springs, Georgia, in Cobb County to face Hillgrove, and Hillgrove advanced to round 2 with a 49-7 win over Roswell. Not even close there. And the winner of the Campbell Lowndes game will face the winner of Parkview and Mountain View. And Parkview advanced with a 42-35 win over Newton. Very close game. And Mountain View rolled past South Forsyth in a stunner. 31-13 on the road. The 4th seed out of Region 6. Ousted the number 1 seed out of Region 5. And number 3 seed, Colquitt County. And rolling past Pebblebrook, 49-7, will face a Walton team that remained undefeated 11-0, but they had to outlast North Cobb 28-14. And the Colquitt County Walton winner will face the winner of Mill Creek and Archer. And that'll do it for Class 7A. We go to Class 6A. In the Class 6A, and the Lee County Trojans struggled against Richmond Hill, but still managed to win 29-21 to advance to the second round. And the Trojans from Leesburg will face Grovetown out of Columbia County, and Grovetown also struggled in their game against Lovejoy, but pulled out a 35-27 win of their own. And Grovetown will go on the road to face Lee County. And Grovetown has only had a football program since 2009, and they'll be heading down into Southwest Georgia to face a Lee County program that has never advanced past the second round. And the winner of the Grovetown Lee County game will face the winner of the Centennial Maze contest up in Atlanta. And Lee County got to the second round in Class 6A last season, only to be eliminated by Maze. And there's a good chance that both those teams win, and there could be a rematch next week on Black Friday. But like the saying goes, first things first. And north side of Warner Robins, and traveled down to Brunswick, Georgia last Saturday night to take on the Brunswick Pirates. And north side of Warner Robins pull off the mild upset over Brunswick 24-21 the final score. The north side of Warner Robins goes to Tucker in a rematch of last year's state semifinal matchup. And Tucker and ousted the north side from the from the playoffs in the semifinals, and then going to lose to Valdosta, and more on Valdosta briefly. And the winner of Northside Warner Robins and Tucker will face the winner of the Altoona to Kukula game. And number 3 seed Coffee. Number 2 seed Coffee outlasted Effingham County in a high-scoring game, 52-32. And Coffee will hit the Columbia County this week to face Evans. And Evans drew 69-32. And winner of that game will face the winner of Douglas County Alpharetta. And see, north side of Warner Robins is Coffee's Lee County's the number 1 seed, of course, the Region 168 champion. And Coffee out of Douglas, Georgia is 2. North side of Warner Robins is 3. And last but not least, there'll be a new champion in GHSA region, GHSA Class 6A. And the Valdosta Wildcats saw their season come to an end after losing to Glenn Academy 27-3. And the Red Terrors will roll on to the second round against Heritage of Conyers. And Valdosta's season ends at 4-7 overall. Very disappointing season for Alan Rodemaker. And Rodemaker finished his second season at Valdosta. And going to move on to Class 5A right now. See Class 5A playoffs. Starting Region 1, Warner Robins advanced to the second round after rolling past after outlasting South Effingham 30-17. And the Demon is in one of the most unusual matchups so far in the playoffs to date. And the Demons came in undefeated at 10-0, while South Effingham advanced to the playoffs despite winning just one game, their regular season finale over Statesboro, whose Blue Devils finished with just 2 wins against 7 losses in 2017. And South Effingham won the game that they need to win just to get into the playoffs out of a 5-team region, 2-5A in Southeast Georgia. And South Effingham goes to Warner Robins, and South Effingham tough with Warner Robins for a while, but it was Warner Robins pulling out the victory, 30-17. And Warner Robins will host Eagles Landing, the number 3 seed at Region 4-5A, traveling to Fayette County, Georgia, southwest of Atlanta. It's just absolutely walloped Whitewater, 45-3. So the winner of the Warner Robins Eagles Landing game will face the Carrollton Arabia Mountain winner. Obviously, Warner Robins will have to play much better than they did against Eagles Landing, than they did against South Effingham. Or to phrase it another way, Warner Robins will have to play much better than they did against South Effingham against last week against Eagles Landing this week if they're to move on to round 3. Also, Bainbridge Bearcats, number 2 seed at Region 1-5A down in southwest Georgia, just absolutely destroyed New Hampstead 48-6, the final score. And Bainbridge will travel up into Tyrone, Georgia to take on Stars Mill. The Stars Mill pulled out a thrilling 31-28 victory over the Dutchtown Bulldogs out of Hampton, Georgia, in Henry County. And the Bainbridge Stars Mill game, the winner of the Bainbridge Stars Mill game will face the winner of Southwest DeKalb and Rome. And Rome rolled all over Cedar Shoals 60-13, while Southwest DeKalb ran over Banneker, and Southwest DeKalb beat Banneker 35-17. Not quite the big blowout between Southwest DeKalb and Rome. Southwest DeKalb and Banneker, I should say, than it was between Rome and Cedar Shoals. Really not much of a contest there. So can Bainbridge go on the road and pull off the upset there? And Bainbridge has one of the state's top running backs in Damian Pierce, who's already committed to the University of Florida. And the Gators probably could use some help. So Bainbridge goes to Stars Mill tomorrow night with a chance to advance to the second round. To the third round or the quarterfinals on the day after Thanksgiving, should they win. And elsewhere, in the Class 5A playoffs among Region 1 teams, Harris County's season came to an end as the Tigers traveled all the way from Hamilton, Georgia, in the west central portion of the state, down to Waycross, Georgia, in the southeastern part of the state, and fell to Ware County 24-6. Final score, once again, Ware County 26, Harris County, Ware County 24, and Harris County 6. And Ware County will travel to Stockbridge this week with the winner of the Jackson-Atlanta-Beaufort game awaiting the winner of that. That's the Ware County Stockbridge. And Thomas County Central was shut out at Wayne County 28-0. And the fourth-seeded Yellow Jackets had a Region 1 5A fell to the Region 2 5A champion Wayne County Yellow Jackets in Jessup, Georgia. And that was the last game. Bill Shaver coached as the head coach at Thomas County Central. And seeing the news coming from and seeing the news coming out of and the sad news coming out of TCC. And according to Georgia High School Football Daily, by way of WTXL TV in Tallahassee, Florida, and Thomas County Central asked head coach Bill Shaver to resign after 24 years at the school and spent the past 10 seasons as head coach. And Shaver's overall record was 74-40 with a region championship in 2016, but finished just 3-8 this year. And the Yellow Jackets also won a region championship in 2009. And Shaver told WTXL in Tallahassee that he refused to resign because he quote, doesn't coach his kids to quit. But the school let him go anyway. And so Thomas County Central's right now is in the market for a new head coach. And we're going to move on to Class 5A. And the top two teams from Southwest Georgia advanced. And American Sumter Panthers, the Region 1 4A champions, outlasted Howard out of Macon. In Middle Georgia, 27-14, American Sumter defeats Howard, and American Sumter will host Thompson in the second round this Friday. And Thompson just absolutely trounced North Clayton, final score 48-8. And the winner of the Thompson American Sumter game will face the winner of the Blessed Trinity Cartersville game. And next up, The number 2 seeded Cairo Syrup Makers outlasted Spalding 26-20, and will travel to Waynesboro, Georgia, just south of Augusta, in the eastern part of the state or in the central Savannah River area, take on the Burke County Bears. And Burke County advanced to the second round in Class 4A with a 35-7 rout of Salem in the first round last week. And elsewhere, number 3 seeded North Side of Columbus. And the season ended with a tough 14-7 loss to West Lawrence at West Lawrence. A low-scoring game there. And number 4 seeded Carver Columbus was shut out in Forsyth, Georgia by Mary Persons, 27-0 the final score. But the big story in Class 4A, at least among the Region 1 teams, both America's Sumter and Cairo moving on to the second round. And then moving on to the second round of the state playoffs. So America's Sumter at home against Thompson. And Cairo visits Burke County, and the winner of the Cairo-Burke County game will face the winner of the Cedartown-Marist game. And that game is to be played in Atlanta, Cedartown and Marist. Now we jump down another classification, the AAA. And Monroe's more on the tough end of Monroe's season. The Monroe Tornadoes right here in Albany coming up momentarily. And then up in Cordele, Georgia, the Crisp County Cougars crushed the Appling County Pirates 56-7. And Crisp County will move on to the second round to face the Pike County Pirates out of Zebulon, Georgia. And in the west central part of the state, located roughly in between, just slightly southwest of Atlanta, northeast of Columbus, and about almost an hour or so, hour and a half, northwest of Macon, like in the west northeasterly direction from Macon. And it was in Pike County. We'll travel all the way down to Portal, Georgia, to take on Southeast Bullock. It was the number 3 seeded Pike County Pirate. It was the number 3 seed for Region 4 AAA. Pike County knocking off the number 2 seed from Region 3 AAA, the Southeast Bullock Yellow Jackets, 43-28. And the Pirates will hit the road again, this time to take on the Crisp County Cougars. And Crisp County is now 9-1 overall. And Crisp County is now 9-1 overall. And they could have been 10-1 on. They could have had a chance to go 10-1 on the season right now. Had their game against the Rutland Hurricanes from Macon not been canceled due to Hurricane Irma. And moving on to the number 2 seed in Region 1 AAA, the Cook Hornets out of Adel, Georgia. And Cook moves on after outlasting Tattnall County 26-14. And they'll face Jenkins out of Savannah. And Jenkins held off Jackson 28-21 the final score. And the winner of the Cook Jenkins game will face the winner of the game between up in North Cross, Georgia, Gwinnett County, between Greater Atlanta Christian and Lovett. And both Lovett and GACS pitch shutouts, and Greater Atlanta Christian rolled past Jackson County 49-0, and Lovett blasted Bremen 32-0. And the winner of Crisp County and Pike County will advance to face the winner of the Dawson County Cedar Grove game. And that could be a potential rematch of a state semifinal game from last year. And both teams win. And Crisp County season ended in the Class AAA semifinals last year. And Cedar Grove cruised to a 55-0 win. And Chris County season ended at 13-1 overall. But it's a matter of first things first. I mean, you have to win this one in order to. Both teams have to win in order to have that rematch come about. And for Crisp County and Cedar Grove, they have to get past Pike County. The Cougars from Cordele have to get past Pike County, and Cedar Grove has to take down Dawson County. And the Monroe Tornadoes gave the Pierce County Bears all they can handle, but lose 28-21. And Monroe's season ends at 3-7 overall, and the Tornadoes played all 9 of their regularly scheduled regular season games. And the number 4 seeded Doherty Trojans season ended at 2-9 as Liberty County rolled 43-6. And very quickly in Class AA, the Thomasville Bulldogs advanced to the second round with a 35-14 win over Jeff Davis last Saturday. A rare Saturday game down in Thomasville, Georgia, and the Bulldogs will face Dublin, and Dublin drilled Harlem 42-0. And the winner of that game, Dublin and Thomasville, will face the winner of the Pepperell Heard County game, and Brooks County rolled the number 2 seed out of Region 1 AA, rolled past Vidalia 39-7. And the Trojans from Quitman, Georgia, will travel to Eastman, Georgia, to take on Dodge County, I should say. And Dodge County won a big. And Dodge County had its own blowout win over Butler, 44-8. The final score. And Fitzgerald's season came to a heartbreaking end, losing 34-31 in Lyons, Georgia, to Toombs County. So the season's over for the Purple Hurricanes. And number 4 seeded Berrien fell at the Benedictine in Savannah, 56-14. And also in rounding out the GHSA public school GHSA playoff report, Class Single A, and Pelham advanced the number 10 seed in the Class Single A public, and the top 24 teams, both the private and the public school subdivisions, advanced to the state playoffs. And it was Pelham trouncing Towns County. Pelham wins easily, 31-14, and the Hornets go to Macon County. And the Bulldogs from Montezuma, Georgia, the Macon County Bulldogs, had a bye as the number 7 seed in the Region 4 Single A champions. In Irwin County, the number 2 seed hosts Taylor County. And Lincoln County advanced with a 28-12 win over Taylor County. So it'll be Lincoln County going down to Ocilla to face Irwin County. And Clinch County, the number 5 seed, also with a bye, will host Dooley County. The Dooley County Bobcats out of Vienna, Georgia, right along just off of I-75. Trouts Tryon on the road, 56-35, and Dooley County comes in as the number 21 overall seed, and it's 21 trouncing 12. And Dooley County visits Clinch County, and the Mitchell County Eagles, the Region 1 Single A champions, and the number 4 seed will face Schley County. And Schley County slipped by Turner County up in Ellaville, Georgia, 14-6 the final score. And the number 13 seed, pulling out an 8-point win over the number 20 seed. And Miller County season ended with a 30-14 loss to Jenkins County over in Millen, Georgia. Millen with a Millen. It's Millen, Georgia. And Miller County season ends in round 1 of the state playoffs in the Class Single A Public School subdivision, and Jenkins County will face ECI next week. And last but certainly not least, and the GHSA, the GISA Class AAA State Championship game takes place tomorrow night at 5-Star Stadium on the campus of Mercer University in Macon, Georgia, as the Valiants of Valwood School in Valdosta will face the Lions of Trinity Christian in Sharpsburg, Georgia. And Valwood coming in at 9-3 overall, with losses coming to Autauga Academy out of Prattville, Alabama, North Florida Christian in Tallahassee, Florida, and he also defeated the Deerfield Windsor here in Albany. Valwood did. So Deerfield lost both to North Florida Christian, again from Tallahassee, Florida, as well as the Valwood common opponents there. And they'll face a Trinity Christian, a Sharpsburg team that has won 11 in a row since losing their first two games. And the Lions lost to Deerfield Windsor 26-16 back on August 11th, and then lost a tough win in overtime at Bullock Academy 35-28. But and the Lions, however, have won 11 in a row since then. So, and Valwood split their first four contests and had and come in winning 7 of their last 8 contests. And Valwood had a game against Frederica Academy and canceled because of Hurricane Irma hit in September. And Valwood won games 49-7 over Edmund Burke and 42-7 over John Millage. And then last week, the Valiants came from behind to knock off Frederica 14-10. How ironic is that? So it should be a good game in Macon tomorrow night. Valwood and Trinity Christian. And try to keep an eye on that one. And again, and nearing the top of the hour. And that's the end of this episode. This very brief episode of the High School Football Roundup podcast. And then just take a moment to thank everyone that did manage to listen. And those people that did manage to listen, I'd like to thank them for listening. And you can listen to this and other past episodes of the High School Football Roundup podcast at the Southwest Georgia Network YouTube channel. And you can also follow the Southwest Georgia Network on Twitter at SWJ Network. And also be on watch for future videos and be on the listen out for future podcasts. And again, this has been the final episode of the High School Football Roundup podcast with your host, Walter Johnson. I do thank you for listening, and good evening.